Oh, uno, dos, tres, cuatro. You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man in a bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time and now he's living in a bottle. See that black boy over there running scared. His old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He ain't done pawned off damn near everything. His old woman a wedding ring for bottle. And don't you think it's a crime when time after time after time people in a bottle?
Oh yeah, sometimes folks are in the bottle. It's the day after the fourth Democratic presidential debate. It was horrible. I don't know how many of you watched it. I had to watch it because we talk about it, and I want to be on top of these things. But I tell you, it gets harder and harder to watch these Democrats lie about the wealth tax and the other taxes that Americans won't have to pay. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to have to foot this bill, whatever it is. Okay. So nothing's free. There is no free education. I had to pay for my education. And if you can't afford to go to college, then hey, you need to work your way through it. It's amazing. It's amazing what's going on in this country today. But you can't blame the kids. You can't. I was talking to a guy the other day, and this morning actually, and he was telling me how screwed up the kids were. And I said, man, it's the parents. It's not the kids, it's the parents. He's thought for a moment. He said, yeah, I think you're right. Hey, look, those of you out there on YouTube, don't forget, call your friends, tell them to tune in. Folks out there on Facebook, those of you who've signed up for the account, come on and tell your people that we're out here. We have a great guest today, Mr. Seton Motley. He's president of Less Government, that is based in Washington, D.C. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring market principles are utilized to solve the nation's public policy crisis. He's also a policy advisor for the Heartland Institute, which is a group of guys near and dear to my heart. And we're going to talk about Lamar Alexander's misnamed Lower Health Care Costs Act. So let's bring on Mr. Motley and talk about these things. And if you have any questions or inputs or comments, give us a call at 215-867-8255. Welcome to the show, Mr. Motley.
Thank you very much, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So you heard, and you've heard people talk about there's going to be free health care, and Obamacare is better than what we had before. I don't know where these people.
It's not.
No.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, and you mentioned Lamar Alexander's bill, and he issued a statement to accompany the announcement of his piece of legislation that says, we aim to lower healthcare costs. And I said, you guys are the worst aimers in the history of aiming. Obamacare aimed to lower healthcare costs, and premiums doubled and deductibles tripled as a result.
Right.
And what's really disconcerting about this entire latest push by Republicans, with Democrats, of course, is they're ignoring all the things that got them elected in the first place. We elected a Republican House in 2010 because Obama jammed Obamacare down our throats, in large part.
Right.
Then Obama said, oh, I got a phone and I got a pen and I don't need Congress and I'm just going to unilaterally do things. So what does Lamar Alexander want to do? He wants to impose government even further into the healthcare system and basically do rent control for healthcare. He wants to price control in healthcare. And as we know from New York City and LA and other major cities, rent control wrings the profit out of building rental places, so nobody builds rental homes. And you will your apartment to your children when you die, because that's the only way they can get an apartment. And LA has rent control and better weather, and we know their homeless problem. And this is rent control for prices. And of course, you're going to drive anybody that provides healthcare out of the healthcare market with this stuff. Now, thankfully, the bill isn't getting much traction in Congress.
Okay.
So what does Congress look to do? They look to outsource the one job we elected them to do, which is write and pass legislation, to a bunch of lobbyists and bureaucrats. Richard Neal is a Democrat in the House. And his name may have come across your transom because he's the guy chasing around Donald Trump's tax returns. And he said, I've got an idea where we'll have a bunch of industry insiders and bureaucrats from 3 different agencies basically write this bill themselves without passing it, and then the bureaucrats will take it back to their agencies and unilaterally impose it, which is exactly what Obama was doing.
Right.
And most unfortunately of all, Republican Kevin Brady, the ranking Republican on Neal's committee, has exhibited initial acceptance or approval of this proposal. It's just ridiculous. And again, the reason they have to propose this proposity is because we the people have told our elected representatives we don't like the bill as written. So do something else or don't do anything. And instead, they're bypassing Congress again. And congressmen are basically saying you shouldn't have elected us because we have one job and we're outsourcing it to somebody else who no one elected.
Well, I hope that's not the police approaching your house with your dog barking.
No, my dog is protecting the house from squirrels. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. So, so what do you propose? What do you propose going forward?
Well, I propose you don't just do something, stand there. In this instance, this is more government being added to the healthcare system. People don't, may or not be aware of this. The healthcare system in America was already more than half socialism prior to Obamacare, with Medicare and Medicaid and the Veterans Administration and a program called CHIP, the Child Health Insurance Program, and 2 other smaller government medicine programs. It was more than half socialized already. For people who don't know, Medicare, you got Democrats running around, Medicare for all, Medicare for all. Well, what they don't tell you is Medicare for seniors, as currently constructed, is more than $40 trillion short in future liabilities. And Democrats are looking to add everyone to the pool. The pool's already been drained of water, and they're throwing everybody else in. Government medicine doesn't work. It never does. The alleged advantage of having government do it to cut out the insurance company middleman doesn't even look good in theory, but let's pretend it does look good in theory. In practice, obviously, it doesn't work. And the other thing they don't tell you about Medicare is it doesn't pay providers even enough to cover their costs when they do something. So they charge private health insurance holders like you and me and self-payers like you and me 2 to 2.5 times more for the exact same procedure or medicine or whatever to make up to cost shift, to price shift, to make up for the shortfall government imposes on every healthcare provider. So when you jam everybody into the program, there's nowhere to price shift anymore. And then you have Sarah Palin's death panels and rationing. And if a program's $40 trillion short, when it's not even paying the going rate for goods and services in a sector of the economy, you should look to shut the program down, not expand it.
Well, see, Medicare, and Medicaid. I think when we talk about funding, when we talk about funding these programs, when we talk about as the president pointed out today in his press conferences, we have spent a lot of money, and we spent a lot of money in other countries. We spent trillions of dollars. I think when he totaled it up, we'd spent something like $13 trillion on these wars, where we were told that Iraq was going to reimburse America for the money that we spent fighting the Iraq-Afghan war. They didn't. Afghan didn't have any money.
Well, they announced that going in, and then of course, as soon as we get in there, they say, "Well, it wouldn't be fair to the Iraqi people." Now that we're already in, up to our necks.
Wait a minute.
They say, "Oh, that wouldn't be fair to the Iraqi people." One of the most egregious examples of this was we go into Afghanistan. We're there for 19 years. We discover more than $1 trillion of what's called rare earth. It's minerals that we use for high-tech gadgets. And we discover it, and we say, "Oh, it wouldn't be fair to the Afghans to take that from them." Well, then China goes in, communist China goes in and starts mining and taking out all the rare earth minerals.
The point I'm making, Sidney, the point I'm making is this. In Iraq, we didn't get the oil, but the Chinese and the Russians got the oil. And
that's right. And we didn't get the rare earth, and China got the rare earth.
And China got the rare earth. So, we have these schoolboys out of these Ivy League schools, or little sissy boys, little girly men, and they give away the store in I don't know, do they want a reward in heaven? Is that the deal? Because they've sold this country out.
Well, no, they get the reward from defense contractors. And then, it's part of the swamp.
Yeah, they even go to
it's the same way Hunter Biden. Joe Biden allows China to steal $500 billion in intellectual property every year. And in exchange for pretending that fake free trade is free trade, Hunter Biden gets a $1.5 billion to quote unquote invest on behalf of the Chinese government.
But Hunter Biden said he didn't receive any money from the Chinese at all. That's what he claimed in his interview. I know that's
completely absurd.
Well, I know it's not true because I have a friend who is an investment banker, and his company was approached by the company that Hunter works for to consult with how to invest this money from China. I mean, he called me and told me this.
Because Hunter has no idea. That's why.
Hunter is a drug. Let's be clear. Hunter is a drug addict. Once a drug addict, always a drug addict. Just like once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic.
As Charles Barkley said, the only recovered drug addicts are dead. Go ahead.
So I don't quote Sir Charles too often, even though people try to put that label on me, but I won't have it. But anyway. The reality here is that we as a government, we as the people, and you were talking about the people, the Tea Party was founded to make conservative or people who ran on conservative Republican platforms go to Washington and do their job and stop trying to what I call out Democrats like Paul Ryan. He's the classic example.
Yes.
But because Obama got elected, the narrative got shifted that somehow the Tea Parties are racist. And I'm going, wait a minute. The Tea Party was around before Barack Obama was even thought about being president or running for president.
The birth of the Tea Party was when Republicans were looking to pass amnesty for illegal aliens in 2006 and 2007.
Right.
That was the birth of the Tea Party.
Yep.
So yes, it does predate Obama. I mean, Obama was a completely worthless senator from Illinois at the time. But yes, it predates his presidency, to be sure.
I think Obama went to the Senate in 2006, to the U.S. Senate in 2006, because he ran for president 2 years after he got there. He looked around and said, "Oh, these folks are so weak. I can run for president." But you look at the 12 people or 11 people that were on stage last night. Only one of them had on an American flag, and that was Joe Biden. He had a little bitty American flag on.
And it took 4 debates for anyone to have one. Go ahead.
And so I look at these people, and I can tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I'm in the lobby of a large hotel, the largest hotel in the country, if not the world, the Hilton Grand Hyatt. And a friend of mine had sent me in to talk about renting a car. So I'll go over to the lady. Her name is Deborah. And I said, hey, my friend sent me in to talk to you about renting a car. And so we started talking about that. Then we got to Power, because everybody wants to talk about Power, right? The TV series. So we're talking about Power, and somehow Donald Trump comes up. I think because he came on television. And so, this lady who happened to be black was saying, well, he's a racist. And I said, well, give me an example. And of course, she could give me an example. And so I started going into my diatribe, right? There were about 8 people around us, and they started, yes, tell the truth. They started clapping. This one lady came up and grabbed me by the lapels of my coat and said, thank you for telling the truth. And she wanted to kiss me, I could tell, but I kind of pulled away. But I'm serious.
She wasn't
man.
your type.
No. She was very cute. But the point is, people. Trump says and is doing what the people want. We want our troops back home. We want our kids out of these war zones. We are tired.
What I've said for a long time is, everyone complains about Trump's style, not his substance. His style, I don't like him tweeting, and I don't like what he says. And, okay, fine. But what I say to them is, we tried it the nice way. We tried to be nice. We did it with the Tea Party, and the Tea Party got destroyed by the swamp. So he said, fine, we tried to do it nice, have some Trump.
Right.
Trump is our response to what they did to the Tea Party.
Well, I tell you, I've never changed my rhetoric, and we're getting ready to get back in the fight big time. In fact, we're going to.
I was born and raised outside D.C. It's been a swamp for a very, very long time, and we've only just begun to clean it up. You're correct.
Well, thank you. Hey, man, thanks so much for being on with me. It's just been a real privilege to have you, Seton Motley. How can people
I appreciate it, sir.
How can people get to your website?
If they go to lessgovernment.org, you can actually sign up for emails. And what we do is we email you when we write stuff. And unlike Google and Facebook, we don't sell the data.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight.
Have a great day, sir.
You too. All right. Seton Motley. So look, folks, we're going to have Mr. Chambers call in a few minutes, and we're going to kick it around a bit. John Michael Chambers, he's working out of Tampa, Florida right now. He's an author, a speaker, national media guy. And we'll be talking about the prolific transformation of his thoughts and his actions and what he's doing. He's just wrote a book called Trump, Resurrection of America. Trump and the Resurrection of America. Should be an interesting discussion. So he'll be on later on in the show, so we're not going anywhere right now. But 6 takeaways from last night's debate. I'm going to run through them real quick because time flies when you're having fun. But 6 takeaways that I kind of jotted down that I thought were important. I didn't say important. I hate when people say that. Important. A little Valley girl. Important. I don't know if these women on TV think that's cute or not, but it's so annoying to me. Anyway, the first is the scrutiny for Elizabeth Warren was incredible. I mean, they launched in here almost every candidate had something negative to say about Liz, or asked her a question that she really couldn't defend. And Buttigieg, he attacked her. And I don't like Mayor Pete at all. But he said this. He said, Medicare for all, while not having a detailed plan or saying how she paid for it. He says, look, this is why people here in the Midwest are so frustrated with Washington in general and Capitol Hill in particular. Your signature, Senator, is to have a plan for everyone except this. He went on to say, I think as Democrats, we're going to succeed when we dream big and fight hard, not when we dream small and quit before we get started, said Warren. So Warren is calling the rest of these people small minded. She says, I dream big, I think big, I'm going to fight hard and get this done. Nah, you're not even going to get out of starter's box, baby, because Hillary is going to be the nominee. You watch. Okay, so second thing that we took away is that it's a Biden versus Warren matchup. Okay, and they were going after each other, man. They know that it's the two of them, and they're like at each other's throat. Warren and Robichaud, but they had a real testy exchange, and it depends on who you're rooting for as to who won that exchange. But Warren was touting her role at the inception of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which was a farce. Everything that was created by that government expansion, we already had. We already had a consumer protection agency. Barack renamed it and hired more people and, supposedly gave it more responsibility. Well, the responsibility should be on the person to not take out loans that they can't afford, not for the bureaucrat to assess whether or not they can afford the loan. Biden, of course, said he agreed with the great job she did. He said, I went to the floor and you got the votes, said Biden. I got votes for that bill. I convinced people to vote for it. So let's get those things straight too. Yeah, so Biden's not backing down. He's like, hey, I'm the senior citizen here. I'm the senior statesman, and don't you forget that you're the newcomer, Pocahontas. They said Warren paused and responded. This is how they were battling up there. She said, I'm deeply grateful to President Obama, who fought so hard to make sure that the agency was passed into law. And I'm deeply grateful to every single person who fought for it and helped us to pass it into law. Not exactly thanking Biden. Okay. She didn't thank Joe Biden. She said, well, Joe said, hey, I went to the floor and fought for you. I went to the floor and got the votes for you. At the end of the day, I was president of the Senate. People say, well, Joe fought back saying, he says, mansplaining. Joe says he's trying to take credit for something Warren did. And some saw it as ungracious, petty, and they say it's not clear what Biden's role was exactly in whipping up the votes for the CFPB, and who knows? Buttigieg may be back in the game. I doubt it, because nobody talks about his homosexuality. When they started talking about the guy being a homo, being married to, being homosexual, being married to another guy, that ain't gonna work. Having a guy as first dude and a male president, not gonna work. See, these people are pipe dreaming. Questions about Hunter Biden, over and done with surprisingly quick. Okay, they tried to let Joe off the hook because they knew that going into Hunter Biden would just destroy whatever hope Joe Biden had left. So they laid off of him. They didn't really center in and say, well, was it quid pro quo, Mr. Vice President, when you went to the Ukraine and when you were at the Council on Foreign Relations and you said XYZ, so Biden very sheepishly said, my son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I carried out the policies. See, this is the narrative that they put together. Joe didn't say he was carrying out the policies of the government or the policies of Obama or the policies of the president when he was sitting there. he made it seem like, okay, if you don't fire this prosecutor. Now, nobody has said that this prosecutor was a bad dude until this video surfaced with Biden saying fire this guy for corruption. People were saying that he wasn't corrupt. That was the problem. He was trying to clean up the Ukraine. That was the problem. Now they're saying, well, he was corrupt. No, he wasn't corrupt. I heard Jake Tapper trying to go there and trying to raise his voice. I wish he tried to do that with me. Man, I'd say, anyway, he did that with Jim Jordan. They said the previously taboo issue of age was broached. It's been a thing since the start of the Democratic primary campaign. And honestly, you got some old dudes. Warren is 70. She's too old to be president. Biden, 76. Sanders is 78. Next year, Sanders would be almost 80. Biden to be 77. Liz Warren to be 71. Way too old. Way too old for the strain and the stresses of the presidency, as far as I'm concerned. And out of touch. Sanders said, I'm healthy and feeling great. Well, at the end of the day, statistics don't bode well for you, Liz. Bernie. Sorry about how you're feeling, Bernie. Once you had a heart attack, well, at your age, hey, dude, I'm not saying that you have one foot on a banana peel and the other one over the grave, but it's close. Last takeaway. Healthcare was again dominant, while immigration, climate change, and race didn't even come up. How about that? Healthcare. We're going to have free healthcare for everybody. Well, how are you going to get there? I don't know. What about Obamacare? We're going to have everybody covered under Obamacare. And by the way, if you don't sign up for Obamacare, if you don't pay your premium, we'll take it out of your income tax return. We will deduct it from your wages. See, everybody forgot about that. So I remember about 2 years into Obamacare, people were complaining on the South and West side that their tax returns were either non-existent or late. And I said, well, you don't remember that the president said that if you didn't pay your Obamacare premiums, he was going to have the IRS, take them out of your returns. And they said, oh, no, he wouldn't do that. The President Obama wouldn't do that. He's great. He wouldn't mess with it. Well, sorry, those people came up short because, they didn't have Obamacare and their tax returns were short. Yeah. And, they battled over healthcare. And I mean, healthcare is healthcare. It's not one of my favorite topics. I generally have a lady named Sally Pipe talk about it. Take Sally to talk about Obamacare. I mean, she and I had been talking about Obamacare since it was proposed, and we talked about it all during its implementation and even after it had taken effect. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. There's nothing that can be said to make Obamacare halfway acceptable or plausible to anyone. What we're going to do is I want to talk a little bit about the President Trump's message, his press conference, because I saw it and I had to stop and listen to it. It was so good. He hit on the points that I had been making and that I made last week when they were talking about he shouldn't pull out. I've said, hey, these people have been fighting for centuries. Our boys and girls need to be out of there. We don't need to be there fighting for these people. They were born to fight. That's what they get up and do every morning. That's what they're born, Turks, to fight the Syrians. That's what they do. So let's play President
Erdogan's decision didn't surprise me because he's wanted to do that for.
Oh, no. I have to go back. Let's see here. His press conference. Let's see. I think This is part of it. Let's see. Let's play it. Here we go.
So I view the situation on the Turkish border with Syria to be, for the United States, strategically brilliant. Our soldiers are out of there. Our soldiers are totally safe. They've got to work it out. Maybe they can do it without fighting. Syria is protecting the Kurds. That's good. We are, and by the way, every player hates ISIS. Everybody we're talking about. Syria more than us. Russia more than us. They've done a big number on Russia. And we're over there fighting ISIS, but they're over there fighting ISIS too. They can handle it, and they should handle it. We can fight our own battles on our own territories. But you have a lot of countries over there that hate ISIS as much as we do. In some cases, probably more. So they can take care of ISIS. We have them captured. The United States captured them. Some were released. But you have a lot of countries over there that have power and that hate ISIS very much as we do. So I think we're in a very strategically good position. I know that fake news doesn't make it look that way, but we've removed all of our, as we said, 50 soldiers, but much less than 50 soldiers. They're now in a very safe location, heading into an even safer location.
See, that's what we want. We want our troops to be safe. We want our troops. They shouldn't have to fight other people's battles. You know, I've said time and time again that the military is not a police force. The military is a fighting force. I don't know if the president is listening to my show, if he's listening to my. Now, that was an early piece when the president was just speaking out. He did a Q&A where he took questions and answers in a press conference along with the Italian president. And this is what he had to say.
He's been building up troops on the border with Syria for a long time, as you know. Our soldiers are mostly gone from the area. We only had 26, 28, but under 50. I think it's probably 28, but under 50 soldiers, and which is a very tiny force. And it didn't surprise me at all. This is, they've been warring for many years, and they fight long and they fight hard, and they've been fighting Syria for a long time. Syria's land. Assad's not a friend of ours. Why are we protecting their land? And Syria also has a relationship with the Kurds, who, by the way, are no angels, okay? Who is an angel? There aren't too many around. But Syria has a relationship with the Kurds, so they'll come in for their border, and they may bring partners in. They could bring Russia in, and I say welcome to it. Russia went into Afghanistan country because of Afghanistan. You can overextend. You can do a lot of things, but frankly, if Russia is going to help in protecting the Kurds, that's a good thing. Syria doesn't want Turkey to take its land. I can understand that. But what does that have control? We have two countries wanting their land. We have one country that wants land, perhaps that doesn't belong to them because they want to have a 22-mile strip of, they call it freedom. They call it a lot of things. They want to get terrorists out. Yeah. Now, with that being said, Vice President Mike Pence is going there. He'll be leaving either late tonight or tomorrow. And he was going to leave yesterday, but they have to have certain security done. He's a very important man in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be leaving with Secretary of State Pompeo. We already have representatives there negotiating with Turkey. We put mass sanctions on Turkey, and we have additional sanctions on Turkey. And when I ran on a basis we're going to bring whether it's, you call it the military-industrial complex or beyond that. They'd like me to stay. One of the problems I have, and one of, for instance, with the witch hunt, you have people that want me to stay. They want me to fight forever. They do very well fighting. That's what they want to do, fight. A lot of companies want to fight because they make their weapons based on fighting, not based on peace. And they take care of a lot of people. I want to bring our soldiers back home. We're not a police force. We're a fighting force. We're the greatest fighting force ever. I spent $2.5 trillion over the last almost 3 years rebuilding our President.
See, I talked about that, and it's true. So, you know, I wish I could say something different. I wish there were a different way to look at it, but I look at it much like President Trump. It's time to pull our troops out. It's time to pull our folks out, bring them home. They've been at war for 19 years. Could you imagine if we fought World War One that way? You go to war. They declared war on Germany and Japan, December 8, 1941, and if they'd been there 19 years, JFK would have been president. And so before we left and went out. So you would have had Roosevelt, Truman, Ike, and then the election of JFK, and we still would have been fighting World War II. We would have decimated Europe. Europe would have been a wasteland if we fought in Iraq and Afghanistan the way we fought World War II. I mean, World War II, we went in and we warred. We fought. We bombed people. People died. This is a war where we're expending ordnance and we don't want to kill any civilians. Well, civilians die in war. So what did ISIS do? ISIS embedded themselves with the civilians. They put civilians all around them. We called them cowards. Oh, they're cowards. They won't come out and fight. No, they're pretty damn smart because they'd come out, fight the Americans, fight the Allied forces, and then retreat back to, civilian populations and enclaves. But I think as this explanation goes on as to why we pulled out, it gets better and better, and the American people understand more and more, as I've tried to explain from time to time, because it has been, and it is a very contentious issue with the American people. Last night, Bernie was asked a question in this presidential debate. He said, "Bernie, you want to do away with all the millionaires, with the millionaire class, is that correct?" And Bernie said, his reply was, "Well, we don't really need them. But those are the people you want to tax, Bernie. Those are the people you claim have all the money." I tell you, these guys, they don't know anything. They've never done anything.
When you have 500,000 Americans sleeping out on the street today, when you have 87 million people uninsured or underinsured, when you got hundreds of thousands of kids who cannot afford to go to college and millions struggling with the oppressive burden of student debt, and then you also have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, that is a moral and economic outrage. And the truth is, we cannot afford to continue this level of income and wealth inequality, and we cannot afford a billionaire class whose greed and corruption has been at war with the working families of this country for 45 years. So if you're asking me, do I think we should demand that the wealthy start paying, the wealthiest, top 0.1%, start paying their fair share of taxes so we can create a nation and a government that works for all of us? Yes, that's exactly what I believe.
No, what Bernie believes is that we should be a poor country. Now, I don't know how you become a billionaire. If I did, I would be one. And a lot of it's luck. Like you look at the Bezos of the world, they took a risk. They had no idea that Amazon would grow into what it grew into. You look at Steve Seier, you look at these guys, and they've created companies that they had no clue. Who knew that Starbucks would turn into this multi-billion-dollar operation? I remember going to Seattle and seeing Starbucks carts, because Starbucks hadn't expanded at the time. There were Starbucks carts selling coffee on corners, not stores, Starbucks little carts, coffee carts. And this thing has grown into, I think around my area, there must be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 Starbucks within about 3 blocks of me, either in any direction. And, I'm not complaining. I mean, this thing took off. It's called America. It's called capitalism. It's called opportunity. I hope that one day I come up with the widget, or my daughter or my son comes up with the widget that makes them billionaires. More power to them. You can't do that in England. You can't do that in Germany. You can't do that in France. That rarely happens in Canada or Mexico or China or Taiwan, but it happens in America because we have this thing called the American dream. We have this thing called capitalism. We have this thing called democracy. That's why people become billionaires in America. Other people, I'm talking about regular guys and girls and men and women. See, in these other countries where you have millionaires and billionaires, they inherit their money. Their money is made off other people, like in England. Your title entitles you to, these, like Downton Abbey, the aristocracy. You're born to, and you're the cousin or the third cousin of the fourth cousin of the Duke of Earl. We don't have an aristocracy in America. We have something called hard work, the American dream, opportunity. And see, that's what a segment of America was denied: access to pursuing the American dream, i.e. Black Americans, primarily. Not any other group. Gays, lesbians. Oh, hell no. Hell no. And, I'm writing a letter to the Supreme Court right now and stating that, I would not know what your sexual orientation is unless you make it an issue. And I'm not interested in talking about people's sexual orientation. It makes me very uncomfortable. It's not my business. I could care less. And no, I don't think you're special because you have homosexual sex. Sorry. Because my religion and my religious beliefs just don't have any room for that. So it's just not something I deal with. But Bernie said we don't need billionaires. We don't need a billionaire class. We're going to take away the billionaires. Well, you're talking about taking away opportunity, dude. So I make, 999 million. The next step is $1 billion. When you were asked about being a millionaire, you said, well, all you have to do is write a book, and a best-selling book, and then you could be a millionaire too. That's what you said, Bernie. Not me. Let me look it up, see if I can find when Bernie said that. Because, these people get away with bloody murder. They don't challenge them in the news, of course, because 1, they don't know enough to. And 2, they're kind of, they're for these people. Let's see, Bernie Sanders, you can be a millionaire too. Let me see if that'll get it. And let me see if that'll get it. He was very adamant about it. I'll never forget. Oh, you can be a millionaire too. All you have to do is write a book. And I'm like, okay. Let me see. So we're going to see if we can. It says the president's a racist. It says he's published his taxes. See, they tickle me. They don't want us to find it, right? They don't want us to find it, right? Let's see. He said, I'm a million. Here we go. He's on with Anderson Cooper when he says this. So let's play it, see what happens. Da-da-da. This is taking a little time to start up. But it will. And when it does, we'll play it up. But, they have to do the commercials. And I'm not playing you the commercials because they're not paying me to play this commercial. So Bernie.
A millionaire and offering no apologies. The Vermont senator and 2020 candidate says the cash came from his best-selling book, Our Revolution, a New York Times bestseller in 2016. Of course, Sanders has been very critical of one-percenters in the past.
Billionaires and millionaires have poured hundreds of millions of dollars into the political process, supporting Republican candidates, and today is payback time for them. The bulk of the benefits in this legislation go to large, profitable corporations and to millionaires and billionaires. Well, my view is you don't give, as Trump wants to, huge tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires.
Sanders plans to release 10 years of tax returns on or before Monday. When he was asked about his growing nest egg, he replied, "If you write a best-selling book, you can be a millionaire too."
See, I can't find him saying that, though. I can't find him saying that. That's what I was looking for. The words coming out of Bernie's mouth, because I remember when he said it. It was on television. I remember when he said it. I probably erased the clip because I make about 10 clips a day. So if you look at 10 clips a day, that's 50 clips a week. That's 200 clips a month. It takes up a lot of space on your computer. So we eliminated that. Thank God. But you can't make this stuff up when you talk about these people. Bernie's like, yes, I'm a millionaire. You can be one too. If you just write a book, well, you could be a billionaire too if you just figured out how to do it. But Bernie says that's a bad thing. If you're a billionaire, you hurt people. You're corrupt. It sounds like the Negro preachers of old who used to say, if you got money, you're a bad person. You're the devil if you have money. If you're a rich person, you're a devil. I mean, seriously, man. These guys, these people were out of control. Seriously. Anyway. We have a few minutes here. Let's see if we have any caller. Yeah, we got a caller. Here we go. John Chambers, he called in. Hey, John, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm outstanding. We talked a little bit about your book while we were waiting for you to call in. But now that you're with us, we got about 6 minutes.
Well, my apologies. First and foremost, I had my my messages crossed. I thought someone was calling over to me, so I apologize. But here we are. Let's. What would you like to talk about?
Well, let's talk a little bit about your book about America Reconstruction. That sounded interesting.
Yeah, Trump and the resurrection of America, and I chose that word resurrection very specifically. I mean, we, to a large extent, have been living in a post-constitutional government for quite some time, and increasingly so over the recent years before Trump's arrival. And that statement can easily be backed up if one, dissects the NDAA bill and the Patriot Act and the suspension of habeas corpus and various executive orders and policies that have gone on, Clinton, Bush, and mainly through Obama. And so Trump steps in, and is an existential threat to the ruling elite, to what was once known as the New World Order, if you will, but the deep state, shadow government of the world.
Right.
And so the book focuses on the changes and challenges facing this country and really ultimately, in my opinion, all of humanity indirectly.
So you're saying that resurrection is rising from the dead, right? So
pretty much, yeah. Let's bringing America back from practically a completely closed casket. Let's put it like that.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I've often thought with the onerous laws that were put in place on us that we've kind of taken as somehow we need them. Like, why does the government need to know my name when I get on an airplane? Why does the government need to know where I go and who I visit and how many cars why does the government need to know all of that?
Well, that's a good question, and the answer is really pretty simple.
They don't.
I define they very extensively in my talks, but
right.
They are creating a tyrannical global police state, and they want to know who we are and profile us and pre-crime arrests and so forth. But look, the biggest story is happening right now.
What's that?
This is a coup. This is a soft coup that's underway. This impeachment hoax through the recent parody given by Adam Schiff. Trump releases the transcripts and boom, the whole thing blows up in their face. So they're scrambling. In my opinion, the deep state, the Dems, and the other operatives, they're panicking right now because we are days away from the release of IG2, which unloads FISA, and you're going to start to see some serious things. You will finally begin to see the indictments and then prosecutions that America has been waiting for, because this
Well,
is a soft coup. Furthermore, the
we-
biggest news that didn't make the news, and I wrote an article on it on my website, johnmichaelchambers.com, but it's Marines activated, coup underway, desperate rats are cornered. A lot of folks don't realize this because the news won't talk about it, but you're probably well aware of it. October 3rd, Brigadier General Daniel Shipley, order number 550/19, activated the Marines on civilian soil to protect civilians, to protect the president and others in Washington. This is a soft coup, and that's what's happening.
what's the name of that
And,
order again?
Yeah, the order, it's up on the U.S. Marines website, and it's order number 550/19, signed again on October 3rd, 2019, up on the U.S. Marines site. Now, there was some disinformation out there that the order was canceled, but it was a different order that was canceled. This order stands, as far as I know. I haven't checked in a couple of days, but, from October 3rd till recently, it stands. And because that's what's happening. And I'll tell you something else very interesting. Another biggest news story that didn't make the news back, I think it was May 24th of this year. You may recall when President Trump was holding a live briefing, taking the money he got from China by tariffs and deficit balances, and allocating it to the agriculture, to the farmers. Well, some gentleman yelled out, President Trump said, "I'm going to take some questions." Reporter figured he would sandbag the president. So he yells out, "Mr. President, the Constitution states that the punishment for treason is execution. You, sir, have accused your adversaries of treason. Would you care to name them, sir?" And Trump went, "Sure. Comey, Page, Stroke, McCabe, and others much, much higher than that," as he then invoked Hillary Clinton in emails. That's a pretty big news story. And, of course, it was censored. But it's available on Right Side Broadcasting, because they don't censor. And I linked it up in the article that I wrote the moment I heard it. There's a lot going on. This is the news behind the news. And soon people are going to start to see these things, because especially next week when the FISA comes out, and people that like to label guys like me crazy will all of a sudden start erecting statues in my image on their front lawn. And not that I'm looking for that, but it's a fascinating time. And I blast out on this call with you with this information, because that's really what the book is about: Trump and the resurrection of America. We're this close to losing it. We were in 2016, and they are panicking now because those that scream the loudest have the most to hide.
Well,
and when you look in intel sources, I'm sorry, go ahead.
When you look at the fact that Hillary Clinton, when she lost the election and she called President Obama and said, "I'm sorry," you knew that the cat was out of the bag, because they had a plan that was up, and their plan was to continue business as usual and to drive this country. See, people forget that Hillary Clinton, if they ever knew, Hillary Clinton had a relationship with Saul Alinsky, where she brought him not only to her high school, but to Williams and Mary to speak.
Cozy group, huh?
Hey, and then Barack Obama's ties to the communists and socialists, they go back very long and deep here in Chicago. Hey, look, this is the deal. We're going to stay on and talk for a little while, but we're going to sign off Red State Talk Radio in about 25 seconds. But I'm still up and running on YouTube and Facebook, so we'll continue our interview. Hey, folks. Tune in tomorrow. We got some great guests coming in. I'm not going to tell you who they are. We got some great guests coming in just like today. In fact, I want to invite John Chambers back if he's available, so that we can continue this great interview. Take care. Okay, so we're signed off of Red State, but we're still broadcasting. So this standing order, why did Shipley release this order? Why did he feel it necessary to write this order?
Well, I only he knows, but as a concerned patriot and citizen of the United States, I exercise my free speech to weigh in. Connect the dots. You got Maxine Waters very recently on television calling for the arrest of President Trump for solitary confinement. Then you've got Tlaib and others making similar assertions about making a run on the White House to arrest these people. This is a panicking group. Now they're all different. They all got different agendas and have been around for different lengths of time.
Mm-hmm.
But look, America, and if you watch, I didn't even watch the debates, to be quite honest with you. I caught the snippets today. I know the platform. It's an anti-American platform.
Right.
We're a capitalist nation.
Right.
We're a Judeo-Christian capitalist nation, even though Obama told us we weren't, in terms of the Judeo-Christian aspect. We are. And Trump is trying to, make America great again and then keep it great.
And you know what?
So the debates.
And along those lines, John, let us be clear. Islam is not compatible with democracy in any form or fashion. So when you have people that tell you, oh, we believe in, no, you cannot believe it. You cannot be a Muslim and believe in democracy because they're just incompatible.
Absolutely. Newt Gingrich is on the record, I believe, as stating any Muslim in the United States who believes in and wants to implement and follow Sharia law needs to be thrown out of the country. For the reasons you've just stated, that's not very compatible with our way of
no,
governance.
they're not. It's not compatible at all. No. And
so why did the to answer your question, the second part of my answer, why did this Brigadier General Daniel Shipley issue this order?
Right.
Well, because they too, the intel and the committees that must meet, they too and they know things we don't know. They too realize that this is a soft coup. They're trying to remove the president without our just process. Even this inquiry is a sham. The whole premise of it.
But listen, John,
I mean, you can go on and on.
John,
so
they're doing the thing behind closed doors. John, they're doing it behind closed doors without Republicans. How crazy is it? I mean, who do these people think they are? Do they think? See, that's why they want to confiscate our guns. That's why you see right. the reason they want to confiscate our guns is because we will not allow them to turn us into Sodom and Gomorrah. We will not allow them to turn us into a socialist meltdown. If this country becomes socialistic, it will be, well, you know, Britain was socialist, a democratic socialist state for a long time, and it never achieved anything after World War II. It stayed flat. You know, the businesses didn't grow. It was a socialist, state-run company where you had automobile companies that were state-owned. I didn't really understand that until I bought a BMW, and even though I'm in college, right? I'm in undergrad. I bought a BMW. It was built by British Leland, which was owned by whom? The British government and British Leland. They were co-owners. Built a horrible product. They built the Jag too, right? Horrible product. Great looking car, but horrible in terms of performance and reliability. But this country would be in that state. It would be in total chaos. That's why here in Chicago, we're getting ready to have a teacher strike in Chicago. Now, you have to understand something. This is what they're saying. We're going to have a teacher strike because we're not going to make the Chicago teachers, we're not going to double what they want. We're spending $2 billion a year on teachers. They want us to spend $6 billion. Lower class size. These are people who basically are babysitters, high paid babysitters. Now you have to understand this, and this was on this morning, and it just reminded me of where I was 8 years ago when they did the same thing. They said that the schools will be open for what? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Why is that important, John? Why is that important? Because the schools are being used to feed the children. All of your well-being comes from what? The government. These kids get up in the morning, leave home, go to school, and get breakfast. Then they get lunch. Then they get dinner. And then they go back into their squalid, crazy ass homes and play video games all night. No homework. We can't have them do homework because it's just too onerous. We don't teach civics in school because we don't want our children to know about government. It's so boring. Why would we want our children to know about government or history? Why would we say the Pledge of Allegiance to a country that discriminates against you, that a country that hates you? I mean, Barack Obama had a class at the University of Chicago, which was on the Constitution, and it was an anti-Constitution class. And the class was being phased out because people quit going to it because they said they weren't going to pay $40,000 a class to hear somebody preach against the Constitution when they had to practice the Constitution, right? That was the law. But people never really talk about that. They always talk about what a great constitutional law professor he was. And I'm like, bullshit. He was an adjunct professor who was getting ready to lose his class because people wouldn't attend. Anyway.
Well, listen, you brought up a lot of issues there which support the notion that we have to resurrect America. And look, as far as Barack Obama goes, I'm not a big fan of him either. And but his name is now coming up. You see, because FISA will bring down the House. They'll start slow.
Yep.
They'll start with the lower lying fruit.
Yep.
But it all leads to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And they know it. They know it. And that's why we're seeing these illegal coup d'etat attempts, and there have been multiple.
I'm sorry.
Assassination.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. I'm sorry, Mr. President, for losing the election. I'm sorry, because she knew and she knows that that's going to bring down the House. They knew that the election of down. See, I think that Sessions got in and saw the evidence and got in over his head. He got cold feet because Sessions knows that people who take on the deep state die.
That's right.
Okay, they die. He wants to see his little grandchild.
To Sessions' credit, I don't know that most viewers may not be aware of this, but there's over 109,000 federal sealed indictments. Now, not that all of them are going to be unsealed, but they've been being unsealed for a while. And now the big ones are coming. But yeah, Sessions recused himself immediately, which was. You're right. I mean, look, there's a lot of dead bodies surrounding these names that we just talked about.
Hey, but William Barr. See, I love William Barr. You know why I love William Barr? I've always liked him. Even when he was AG under Bush, I like the guy because he's tough. He's a stalwart. You know, when I look at William Barr, I see confidence, I see honesty, I see a real American, and it makes me proud when I see William Barr. And when he told Pelosi, Madam Speaker, did you bring your handcuffs? I thought that was just a classic and a classy move. Because remember, she said she was going to haul him up to the Capitol and put him in handcuffs and make him testify before the House. And he said, yeah, well, send him.
Hey, I'm with you there. I'm all for Attorney General Barr. You've got Barr and Durham. You know, they've been over in Europe doing some homework. They haven't been on vacation.
Right.
These people are going down.
Right.
They are going down.
Right.
They know it, and the raps are.
Well, you know what tried to stick,
happening.
John. You know what tried to stick. They tried to say that Barr was over there negotiating and working out deals with foreign governments. And why is our Attorney General over in meeting with people in the Ukraine? He's getting the fact. They said, well, he's trying to cover up something for Donald Trump. That didn't stick, though. It didn't stick. Remember, MSNBC came out with that scenario. They went down that road for a minute. So did CNN, and they cut it out after a couple of days. But I just want to get your take on this, and then we can end the interview. But what did you think of Shep Smith's resignation on Friday?
I think Shepard Smith was terminated, and I think the truth will come out later. I understand he was escorted out without even being able to grab all his belongings at this type of a situation. Look, Shepard Smith, we know all about him and Juan Williams and Chris Wallace and many others over there on Full News, but I'm happy to see him go. I don't know that the real story has been told yet. I'm just glad he's gone. I don't watch a whole lot of Fox. I don't know who's replaced him or what the story is, but Fox News, I have a whole talk on Fox News that we don't have the time to get into right now, but all my speeches are up on my YouTube channel, John Michael Chambers. I've spoken in 8 states, but it's a fascinating time to be alive. It's great and proud, as you mentioned before, to be an American again. It's always been, but they beat us to a pulp.
Yep.
And now it's amazing. You never underestimate what one man can do. Donald J. Trump is our miracle president, God ordained, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let me just share 2 things with you about Donald Trump and in my relationship. One, when he came here in June of 2015, I heard him speak at the City Club of Chicago. I called Reince Priebus and Michael Steele. I said, this guy's the real deal. You guys need to stop making fun of him. I said, this is going to be the next president. And people said I was crazy. Okay. They called me all kind of names. They said I was crazy. Oh, no way. And we see what happened. Yesterday, I'm in the lobby of the Grand Hyatt Hotel here in Chicago, renting a car. And this woman and I got to talking. Well, first we talked about renting the car. Then we talked about power and Lala being killed off. And that was fun. And then we got on Donald Trump. Because see, I don't care where you are, John, what you're doing, the conversations always come back to who? Donald Trump. Perfect strangers. Donald Trump. Why are we talking about Trump? Because he's making a difference. So the conversation starts and she says, well, you know, Trump's a racist. And I said, no, he's not. She said, Trump's a racist. I said, no, he's not. Give me an example. Give me an example of Trump being a racist. Well, of course, she couldn't come up with one. So we get back and forth, and I'm telling her all these great things that Trump has done for everybody, and especially blacks, for years, and what he did for Al Sharpton, starting Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Jesse Jackson gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award for helping black folks, you know, on and on and on. So people started running up to me, thanking me for saying what I was saying and giving me the thumbs up. And one lady came up and grabbed the lapels of my coat and said, thank you for telling the truth. Thank you so much. She was so cute. She wanted to kiss me and I wanted to kiss her, but I didn't. Because see, I didn't want to get in any trouble. Okay. So, but I mean, this is the kind of emotion, man, that this lady, she went back and she told my friend, she was talking about it yesterday to my friend. And he said she was laughing and she said she'd never seen anything like that before. Now, the question is why? Because Donald Trump, like me, when we start talking about issues, we see Donald Trump, John, you don't know me, but I'm telling you, Donald Trump is the white Charles Butler. I have said the same things about the country for 30 years. I just didn't have the platform. But I've said the same things, whether it's trade, immigration, foreign policy, our troops being police instead of fighting men. I've said war zones in America. I've said all those things on the air for years. I said in every congressional black caucus district, there is a war zone. In every congressional black caucus members district, there is a war zone. And that is a fact. That is not hyperbole. It's not conspiracy. It is the truth. Okay. That's my 2 cents.
Well, you know, just a quick comment. Thank God the black community in this country is waking up to the hoodwinking that they've been receiving since LBJ.
Well, actually, since FDR, my friend.
They're waking up.
Since FDR.
Yes. Yep. And it's a good thing, you know, the statistics, 18% of the black community supported candidate Trump. Today, it's 39% and rising. There's a great awakening taking place, and I'm happy for the black community, and I'm happy for America.
I'm happy for America. That
number's going to rise. It's a long way to 2020 election. Lots going to happen. Man,
let me tell you, and people are excited. They're excited, and they're excited for Trump. They're not thinking about what's her name, Pocahontas. They know, see, Pocahontas will never get the black vote. Never get the black vote. Joe Biden, when all this dirt comes out on Joe, he's going to lose the black vote. He's going to lose he's going to lose the independent white vote. He'll keep the hardcore Democrats, some of them, but everybody's turning their back on old Joe. Joe's dead. Did you notice last night how you didn't watch it, but they eased up on Joe. They eased up on Joe talking about Hunter. They wouldn't go down that road because I think the Democrats let that come out because they want to kill Joe off. They know that Joe cannot beat Donald Trump. Joe Biden cannot beat Donald Trump.
Yes.
Now, I don't think I tell you what
Yes.
my supposition is that Hillary is going to come in after the first or second ballot of the election. Because you know what she said over the weekend? She said, I beat Donald Trump once, I can beat him again.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk and a lot of snippets like that, and I'm in the same camp as you. None of these people can beat Trump that's on the platform last night, so they may bring in Hillary. You hear talks about Michelle Obama, but the bottom line is
Michelle's not a politician. Michelle's not a politician.
The declassification destroys Hillary Clinton. Bring her on. Bring her on. It's okay. She's going to end up in Gitmo. So, wait till the declass starts revealing between now and the election of 2020. Trump's going to have so much ammunition against her. They have the 33,000 emails in the State Department, the bleached ones. Trump told us that at the rally in Orlando. So they've got everything on Hillary. And I'll tell you what, you talked about Pocahontas a minute ago. You look at a Trump rally, you get 100,000 people calling for tickets, 20,000 in the stadium, 10,000 outside. At a Joe Biden or Pocahontas rally, you got 300 people in the audience when Trump has 300 people waiting online for the restroom. There's no comparison.
None.
He's going to turn blue states red.
Hey,
that's what's happening in America.
I think
CNN don't tell you that, but that's what's happening.
I think this is going to be the biggest landslide election that we've ever seen.
Without question, I'm with you 100%.
Hey, 100%. John.
The only way it's not going to be is if they steal it through the GEMS or black box voting software rigging, and or if, God forbid, they take them from us. And I believe neither of those things are going to happen. We're on the right side of history. And we're on God's side. And America's waking up. We're back. It's over. But it's a tough battle, and it's very dangerous. False flags are coming soon because they're cornered now. The inquiry, the impeachment, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. FISA comes out, and this is why the Marines have been activated, and this is why a false flag will hit again to divert the news cycle and to wreak more havoc. And depending on what style of false flag, there'll be other goodies in there for the enemy. But we just need to stay together and be vigilant, and those of faith pray and get others to vote, and we're going to win this thing. Give Trump 4 more years. We'll turn this barge around.
Okay. I hope so. Hey, man, thanks so much for being with me. Appreciate you. Got to get you back. And maybe we'll do something Friday if you're available. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I apologize for not calling.
Don't worry about it.
I had my signals crossed. But
Don't worry about it.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, John. Okay, John. John Michael Chambers. Don't forget to go out and buy his book, Trump, Resurrecting America. Hey, look, folks, we're going to sign off today and call it a day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, doing what we do right here on the Red State Talk Radio. Have a good one. Next level.